welcome to Discovering the Law. My name is Attorney Lucy Rivera, and I am your host for today's program. This program can be viewed at our blog, www.discoveringthelaw.net. Today, we have a very special guest, Attorney Martin Healy. He is the Chief Operation Officer of the Massachusetts Bar Association and also the Chief Legal Counsel of Massachusetts Bar Association, also known as the MBA. Welcome to our program.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, Lucy.
Healy, it's great that you were able to come with us today. I'd like to find out, we'd like to learn as to what are your responsibilities with the Massachusetts Bar Association.
Well, I'd be happy to talk about that. Thank you for having me. I appreciate all your work you do with the bar and with your particular organization, the Mass Association of Hispanic Attorneys. So thank you for having me today. But as Chief Operating Officer, it's quite a nice position at the MBA. I am responsible for the administrative functions of the association, the business of and work of the organization from day to day, work with a wonderful staff of over 50 individuals. We have an insurance agency. We have a number of different departments within the Mass Bar Association, and part of my other responsibilities there is serving as Chief Legal Counsel to the organization, providing public policy advice to our officers, to our sections, to our committees, and also to represent the association up on Beacon Hill in the courts and before state regulatory authorities. So it's quite an exciting position and something that I'm very proud of, and the organization is a great organization to work with.
And what is the organization about? What is the mission, and what is the Massachusetts Bar Association?
The Mass Bar Association has been in existence since 1911. We're in our centennial year this year. It's quite an exciting year. We have over 14,000 attorneys from throughout the state, a number of different practice areas, a number of county bar associations, affiliated bar associations, different practices that individuals join other organizations and become part of the umbrella organization, the Mass Bar Association. We stand for the administration of justice, respect for the law, education of attorneys, and again, having people in the public understand how the law benefits them. So it's quite a broad mission and something that we enjoy undertaking, and something that keeps us busy as an organization. And
Marty, what are the benefits for a member of the Massachusetts Bar Association?
Sure, there are many, and people join us for many different reasons.
Yes.
As you would understand, for many different organizations attract individuals for different reasons. We offer an opportunity for attorneys to come and to participate on different public policy matters, to meet and to help one another on their practices, what is happening in their practice, what are some of the areas that need to be corrected within their practice. There's a different, again, it's a different type of attractive part of the organization for every individual attorney out there. But some of the things that we offer them is mandatory, not mandatory, but we're talking about that this year, but professional liability insurance, continuing legal education for attorneys. As you well know, being a skilled practitioner now, once you get your ticket to practice law, you're pretty much out the door, and there's no requirement that you maintain any types of academic credits or training throughout the year. And we're looking at this. This is a debate nationally, but we provide over 100 continuing legal education programs for our attorneys throughout the state, and pretty much every day we have an online service which is called On Demand, which allows attorneys to take continuing education right from their offices. They don't even have to come to an association meeting or building. They can sign up online and learn the different areas of the law. There's also a lawyer referral service, and this is a big part of what we do. Attorneys obviously have to put a roof over their head and educate their children and be responsible members of society like everyone else. And we offer them a way to advertise to the public, and the public participates. We receive over 30,000 calls a year to our referral service, and this is from members of the public who don't have a connection with the law. It's easy for you and I to know attorneys and to know who may be good in a particular practice area, but for the majority of the public, they're out there, and if something unfortunate happens to them and they have to reach out to an attorney, or they have, again, something like a death in their family and they don't know who to turn to, you can call the Mass Bar Association Referral Service. Our attorneys are screened Make sure that they're maintain professional liability insurance so that if something doesn't go right with their case, that the public has an opportunity to come back and to seek recovery from that attorney. And again, there are so many different nuances and practice areas within the referral service that is available to the public. Also, we allow members of our organization to participate in what's called a Dial a Lawyer program, and many lawyers like to do this. It's a free service. It's offered every first Wednesday of the month, and you call into the Mass Bar Association, and members of the public can speak live with an attorney for just a very brief initial consultation on a matter that may be of interest to them. And this is something that's become very popular, not only with the public, with our members as well. So again, there's a host of different activities that we provide to members.
And those are incredibly interesting and beneficial for the members, but you also have benefits for the public.
We do. And I mentioned the Dial a Lawyer program, and that's, again, it's a double-edged offering there. Not only do attorneys like to participate in that, but the public can call in every Wednesday, first Wednesday of the month, and get advice. It's usually from, again, I don't want to give out the wrong time, but it's in the evening, early evening hours, and they can call the Mass Bar Association and get more information on that. We advertise that. For the public, we do a lot with children, and part of our mission, as I said, is educating the public about how the law could be beneficial to them. We offer a mock trial program every year throughout the state, high school kids, and we have, I think, roughly 130 high schools that participate. We give them an actual hypothetical case where they go through it and they analyze it and they act as an attorney in court, and they have, again, an opposing counsel that they go against, and there's an actual competition, and if they get all the way to the finals, they can be awarded a championship and then an opportunity to participate nationally at another national mock trial program. In addition to that, we've reached out to different communities, particularly in the urban area. We offered what's called a tiered mentoring program.
Yes. And
this is a wonderful program. We have some very distinguished and prominent members of the legal community, such as Chief Counsel to the Governor, Mo Cowan. We have U.S. Attorney Carmen Ortiz that has participated in this. And what they do is they pair up with a high school student that might be interested in a career in the law, and they don't know if they're going to be interested. There's no one in their family that has a legal background. They may have seen the numerous TV shows that are out there talking about the law, but they say, you know, maybe I'm interested in this. And they actually work with these students to help them develop skills and to move them through school. And believe me, the people that are participating from the bar side are very credentialed and very experienced counsel, and we've had some great success stories with that. So that's a real beneficial offering to the public as well. Again, our referral service is there. We receive a lot of calls. It's very inexpensive for a person to have a consultation, initial consultation with an attorney. I believe with the rate is now $25 for the first half hour, and a lot of attorneys will waive that and speak to a client in their office about a particular matter. And then if you decide as a member of the public to retain that attorney, there's the opportunity there, and you've got the added protection of the Mass Bar Association getting regular reports back from the attorney to make sure that the case is progressing well, that there aren't any issues that develop. And if there are, unfortunately, occasionally an issue that will develop, then the Mass Bar Association is there for the client, and they're there for the attorney as well. So there's a host of opportunities for the public. We have a wonderful website that members can go on and learn more about the legal profession, some of the issues that are affecting the practice of law. And the legal profession is changing, just like every other profession out there and every other area of life, as we struggle with a tough economy and with, again, just the demands of society that have changed, and the legal profession is no different. Everyone is struggling with that.
Yes, Marty, but part of the value that your organization gives to society also is that you go behind those changes of law, and you're part of making the change. What are some of the bills or legislative issues that the MBA supports?
Sure.
Or goes, or is responsible for sponsoring?
Oh, there's a host of them, and this is something I'm very proud of, and I know that the officers at the organization, we have a wonderful president this year, Dick Campbell, and they get down into the nitty-gritty of those particular matters. But let me just tell you a bit about it. We have a very aggressive legislative agenda and public policy agenda. Not only do we participate on Beacon Hill on draft proposals and working for and against those, but we also occasionally will find a public policy or a legal policy matter that's pending up at the Supreme Judicial Court or the Massachusetts Appeals Court, and we'll file what's known as a friend of the court brief, an amicus brief, and we'll argue up there as well. But in the public policy arena, we've had some great successes lately on court reform. Particularly last year was the first time in Massachusetts history that there was a comprehensive court reform measure that was passed with the cooperation of our new Chief Justice, Roderick Island, as well as Speaker Robert DeLeo, who's a practicing member of the Mass Bar Association, House Speaker from Winthrop. Those two individuals are singularly responsible for bringing forward a bill and a measure that will professionalize the Massachusetts courts. For too long, Massachusetts has been, as have many systems throughout the country, been run by members of the judicial leadership team, which are wonderful judges and distinguished judges. However, the management ability of the courts has been tested over time just because of the changes and the pressures on that. So what the Speaker in the Senate also passed that, but what the Speaker and the Chief Justice came up with is hiring a professionally trained individual, a non-judicial individual called a court administrator that would be responsible for our 7 court departments and our 2 appellate courts, the appeals and the Supreme Judicial Court. Very proud of this. This is a historic change. We saw court reform that was earlier proposed way back during Governor Dukakis, and Archibald Cox was the commission that looked at court reform back then. It was called the Cox Commission. They came up and made some important recommendations. The Mass Bar Association did as well in 1991 when we hired Harbridge House Consulting Firm to look at the courts. And then the next decade, we saw the Monin Committee, which was Reverend Donald Monin from the Boston College community. He produced a report. But last year's legislation is a great blend of all of those earlier reports and really brings to fruition something that was long hoped for by all of those other wonderful advocates, but never was attained until last year. And time will tell how that works out. They're now out hiring a professional court administrator. The courts are looking at someone that can work well with them and work well with not only the justices, but the clerks and the registers, who do a terrific job of working day to day with members of the public. In addition to that, we work on a lot of criminal justice matters. We have a very, very aggressive and interested section counsel on criminal justice matters. And as we all know, living in urban communities, this is an important area, not only from a law enforcement measure, but also how do individuals that are before the criminal justice system, how are they treated fairly? Both the victims as well as some of the defendants. And what we're looking at, and we've had a success last year and we're pushing for more reform, is mandatory minimum reform for certain drug offenders. Last year, again, a historic opportunity. Governor Patrick, I give him credit, and his staff, our wonderful Public Safety Secretary Mary Beth Heffernan, they pushed, along with the legislative community and the legal community, the Mass Bar Association and a host of others, Family Against Mandatory Minimums, the opportunity for individuals that are in houses of correction, an opportunity for parole after they serve half of their sentence. And what that will do is not only give them a parole opportunity, but there's training that's being offered to individuals so that when they come back out of that system, that they're able to meet the challenges of their families and society. And we may think of the horror stories that we see on TV occasionally about some really serious crimes dealing with drugs, but what we're talking about, the vast majority of individuals that are in prison for mandatory sentences in the drug area are not hardcore criminals. They're individuals that get mixed up with a certain substance. We've seen a lot of this in Boston with OxyContin. They're serving sentences that just don't match what they did. We need to look at this as a society as a health issue, and that's what we're pushing, as well as a public protection issue. We're cognizant of that. The bill that was passed last year with Mass Bar Association support says if an individual that is going to apply for that particular parole, they can't be involved in pushing drugs or those types of substances to children. They couldn't have been involved in a violent crime where that occurred. So we're talking about people that just got caught up in a situation of maybe supporting themselves in their habit and got caught in a school zone. And we know that's a huge area that we haven't seen success on, but we're trying to push for that right now. And you're a very busy criminal practitioner. You see this every day in your practice. In Boston today, if you're arrested and eventually convicted of a drug offense, there's a good opportunity that you violated what is known as the school zone law.
Yes, that's correct.
And that's an enhanced penalty in addition to your normal sentence.
Just 1,000 feet.
Exactly. You only have to be 1,000 feet from a school, and I challenge anyone to find a school in Boston that isn't within 1,000 feet of another school. It's a law that's, again, a one-size-fits-all approach, and it's not being smart on crime. It's very expensive, it's punitive, and it's not getting to where we need to be as a society from both a public safety perspective as well as treating individuals with some serious issues as a public health matter, not just a criminal matter.
What would be your measure in terms of the school zone? What would be an ideal distance?
We've talked about different proposals, and this is very fluid right now, so that you listeners know. The House of Representatives passed a piece about a month back, and the Senate followed suit a week or two later in what is known as a habitual offender reform. And we saw this really surface last year when we had that horrific and terrible murder of a Woburn police officer. And as a result, the governor had asked for resignations of 5 members of the parole board, and there was also renewed, and rightfully so, a look at what's going on with some of these career habitual offenders and why are they getting out. As a result of that, the House responded to that and is tightening up habitual offender laws. We are trying to push during that opportunity to also say, okay, take care of that. Be strong on law and order and public safety, but also take a look at maybe the school zone and shrink it down. I've heard the Senate, I think, passed and followed up with a 300-foot proposal. Yeah. We've been asking for something in 100 feet. Keep in mind, a lot of the school zone offenses, they don't occur during school hours. You could be in a three-decker a few blocks from a school and an adult dealing in an adult activity in the middle of the night. But again, if law and order, district attorney, and the police want to press that, they can say you were in a school zone. So we're trying to get the laws to be smart and to say, was this individual dealing to children? Were they targeting school children? Or were they just in a particular geographic area, and as a result of that, because they live in an urban area, they're being punished? So again, it's a very fluid situation. We're pushing hard. We wrote a letter along with the Families Against Mandatory Minimums with the Committee for Public Counsel Services, who I know you're very familiar with as a defender. And we wrote it to the governor, and we wrote it to the public safety secretary, and we asked them over the summer to take a serious look at this and to also express our concern at some of the lower parole rates that are occurring as a result of the changeover at the parole board. And again, we're not pointing fingers, we're just saying the rates have dropped. We want Commissioner Wall, the new commissioner that the governor appointed, and others to make sure that we're not slipping back, that opportunities are given to appropriate individuals, non-dangerous individuals. It's
important work, Marty. And specifically, you also work with Corey reform.
Oh, Corey was a big part. I'm glad that you brought that up. Corey reform, the Criminal Offender Record Information Act, has been pretty much a ball and chain to a lot of members of society that have served their sentences, served their time, have come out, they're trying to reintegrate to the community, and an employer won't look at them because they've had an offense. And we're not talking just serious felonies, we're talking misdemeanors and felonies. As a part of the sentencing bill last year, it used to be a 15-year period. If you had a felony conviction, your record would be open, and you couldn't get it sealed for until 15 years expired. That is a long time. Yes. That was dropped down to 10, signed by the governor. Now for misdemeanors, it used to be 10. That was dropped down to 5. We think that's a great change. But not only that, now it prohibits employers from asking on an employment application if you've ever been convicted of a crime. Now, it doesn't deny them the opportunity to explore that when they're doing an interview with an individual. What it does, it provides the individual for an opportunity to at least come in, get one step in the door and explain themselves. Before, people were getting rejected right away. Oh, they checked that box off, they had an offense, we don't want to talk with them. We're finding if people are given an opportunity, they come in, they explain their situation to an employer. In some instances, the employer would have the confidence in hiring that individual. And isn't that a good thing? Don't we want society to be productive? Don't we want folks to go back out and become... Right, we want them to be productive members. We don't want them to go back to maybe some of the behavior that led to that imprisonment or that conviction in the first place. So we were thrilled with that change. Corey was a huge part of that reform. The constituency from the urban areas, they pushed hard on it, and we were very happy to have them.
Yes, and I think it's a very important part of your work that you did
Thank you.
This book. You're watching Discovering the Law. My name is Attorney Lucy Rivera, and I am here with Chief Operation Officer Martin Healy, and he's also the Chief Legal Counsel of the Massachusetts Bar Association. This program can be viewed at www.discoveringthelaw.net. Attorney Healy, what about the judges, the appointment of judges and the selection of judges? Because I know you have a hand on that as well.
We do, and I've been very fortunate to have, as part of my responsibilities at the Bar Association, yet another one, and that is working with our joint committee on judicial appointments, the Joint Bar Committee on Judicial Appointments, it's formerly known as, and yes. I know we're glad to have you as a new member of that committee.
Oh, thank you.
What that is that's a 25-member committee that has been in existence since 1961, and it works hand in hand with every gubernatorial administration to look at what attorneys have applied to become a member of our trial court or our appellate courts. It serves as a second look, as a screening mechanism for the governor. We work in cooperation with the governor. We work in cooperation with the Judicial Nominating Commission, which is the formal commission that the governor comes in during his first term, and they've done that. They're not required to do that by law, but a lot of them will develop a judicial nominating commission to come in and screen as well. What we do is we come in after the governor has, after individuals have applied, and after they're approved by the JNC, then we get the applicants over to the Joint Bar Committee. Okay. Now, what type of attorneys are becoming members of the bench? What is the governor looking at? What is the bar looking at? You have to have certain years of experience to become a member of the bench, and rightfully so. You're dealing with some pretty serious, heavy-duty matters that are affecting lives. So the governor's executive order, which he promulgated, the most recent one is Executive Order 500, and it's online if people want to look at it. It makes sure that people that are applying to the trial courts, and we have 7 trial court departments, that they have 10 years experience. And for appellate courts, it's 13 years. And what the governor's trying to do is get experienced people. And what we look at as a committee when it gets to our stage, if someone's fortunate enough to get one of these, at least get a second look by the governor's office when we get them, we're looking at things such as their legal acumen, their knowledge of the law, again, their temperament. Temperament's a huge issue. Is that person going to be kind? Are they going to be firm? Are they reasonable and rational in their approach? You know, firm when they need to be, and not a bully when they don't need to be. We really look at the temperament issue. And what we do as a committee, there's 25 members of the Joint Bar Committee. It's a committee of the Massachusetts Bar and our friends at the Boston Bar Association. That's why it's called Joint when it was first developed, and we have a host of other members of different bar associations and attorneys from all practice areas. It's a very diverse body that looks at individuals. We look at, again, at temperament, the legal acumen, and things of that nature. And we vote. Is this person qualified? Are they not qualified? Or do we need further information? And then we make that vote known to the governor's legal counsel. Right now it's Counsel Mark Riley, who took over from Attorney Cowan, who moved up to the governor's chief of staff. And we communicate directly. Now, on a rare occasion, we may have an individual that does not meet a qualified vote. But our rules give those individuals an opportunity to come in and meet the committee, explain why it is that we have an issue and what we need to explore with them. And then, you know, in most instances, the committee is assuaged and that individual moves forward, and it is the governor's decision. The bar, again, is just another screening mechanism, and we value that role with the governor, but it is the governor's constitutional decision to appoint whoever they wish, regardless of what committee and commission's out there. Constitutionally, they don't need this apparatus, but most of them have agreed to it, and Governor Patrick has been terrific with that.
Thank you, Marty. I really appreciate your coming here today and illustrating us and letting us know about all the services and benefits of being a member of the Massachusetts Bar Association. I
really enjoyed speaking with you and appearing here, so thank you for the opportunity.
And thank you, all of you, for following us today at Discovering the Law. Today we had Attorney Marty Healy, Chief Operating Officer of the Massachusetts Bar Association and Chief Legal Counsel. And my name was Lucy Rivera. I had the pleasure of being your host today. And please look at this program again at our blog, www.discoveringthelaw.net. And we look forward to hearing from you again.